What is up, party people? Welcome back. You guys know I always start this show off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible. Guys, tonight is going to be my friends over at Blue On. Real fast, if you did not hear last week, I don't know if you guys were here for the Blue On Tech Support 4 episode, but Mr. Jason Johnson, who is in the chat right now, is pretty much here every week. Happened to ask uh, the gentleman from Blue On about a manual for a 70-year-old boiler. And he was like, man, that'd be awesome if you could find that. Obviously, Jason was just joking. And guess what? They called me the next day and they found the manual for that boiler and they got all of the information over to Jason. So just so you know, if you need a manual and you can't find it by searching it, give their tech support a call. They will locate it for you. They will go above and beyond to find that. All right. Guys, Blue On has literally changed the game for us techs to make it super easy for you guys. Right now in the Blue On app, you can get quotes on parts and truck stock from your local supply house. Forget wrong parts, waiting on hold. All that is gone. And here's the crazy part. You ready for this? You will get 2% back on every quote that gets approved. Did you hear that? Free money. Let me say it again. You will get 2% back on every quote that gets approved. So even if you're a tech and your company's paying for it, but you make the quote, you will be the one to get 2% back. You will be getting an extra little kickback for just doing your fucking job. All right? It all happens through Blue On points, which you earn every time you use the app to order parts and material. These parts turn into cash in your pocket. This shit adds up quick, man. Do your own math. But you guys can make hundreds of dollars all this way. Hundreds of dollars this way just by doing your job and ordering parts through the Blue On app. Just for using Blue On. If you're not on Blue On, you're not using parts and material, well, I really don't know what to say. I can't help you because I have showed and proven every reason why you should use them. So if you don't, I guess it's more on you. Blue On is literally giving you free tech support, free info, and free money. I mean, why wouldn't you use it? It just doesn't make sense. These guys have figured out how to help us technicians 24/7 and get the industry to pay for it. So as far as I'm concerned, I say thank you, Blue On, and we all should be saying thank you. All right? So thank you, Blue On. If you guys have not downloaded that app, go become a Blue On Pro member. It is absolutely free. It takes about 10 minutes, if that, and join the amazing community. Next is going to be my friends over at Yellow Jacket. I absolutely love this company and everything about them, just like the previous company. As most of you know, I am a second-generation HVAC technician, 20-plus years in the trade, but I always think back to those days working with my dad that I cherish so much. My dad always said your tools are an extension of yourself. If you buy quality tools and take care of them, they'll take care of you. Most of the time, you only have to buy them once. Well, that brand I think back to is Yellow Jacket. They've been making quality products for 70 years and counting, making them right here in the US of A. They could have easily been like others, cheaped out and sent them overseas and started making Chinese Yellow Jacket, but they didn't. They kept it right here, kept their employees, no layoffs. And to me, that says a lot about a company, a lot about a brand. If you're looking for quality tools you can depend on, get the job done the first time, then look no further than Yellow Jacket. Yellow Jacket has been trusted by my family for generations now, and we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Remember, 70 years of expertise built into every tool. All right? Thank you to the sponsors for making this show possible, and let's get on to this show. Got a great one for you today. So we're going to rock out the pledge, give a little I love you to America, and then we're going to rock and roll. Let's go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil KV Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. I am your host, Gil KV Jr., here another Wednesday night with another fantastic episode. I've been so looking forward to tonight. I apologize for the old whoopsie daisy, making everybody think this guest was last week. That was my fault. But I'm so happy to have this guest back. Even after you watch this, if you have not seen the one before this, when you find out who the guest is, please go do that. It was an amazing episode last time, learning about some of the game-changing things that he's doing, about the technology side of it, and just talking about some of those things. It was absolutely amazing discussion. The whole episode was great. The interaction, I mean, it was really, really fun. So I am super excited to have him back tonight. So guys, without further ado, if you could help me welcome back inventor of the Cocoon Furnace, Mr. Alan Coggins. Hello, let me make sure you're unmuted. How are you, sir?
Good, Gil. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, of course. I had such a blast last time, and I'm glad to finally get you back. So I guess if God forbid anybody did not see the last episode, which after this, you should still, even if you watch this, go back and watch the other episode. It's on YouTube, Facebook. It'll just say HVAC Uncensored Talks to Alan Coggins. You should definitely watch that. But if they did not see that, I guess give them a little brief, bio about you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I'm used to be a service tech installer for 20 plus years, 25 plus years, quite some time anyway. Seen everything from grandma's basement to systems that keep Boeing jets cool while they sit and work on them. So I've refrigeration, pretty much all of it. I've been the guy out there, in the service truck. I've been the guy slinging, duct work. And I've always just had this knack of I like to create stuff. My wife says I like to blow stuff up, but absolutely. So, it's just fun, and I just love to create. And when I seen some things that I knew I could do something with, I knew I could make a change in our industry and make a change for the better as well.
That's amazing. So I guess if you want to explain before not to backtrack and do the same thing as last podcast, but if people, a brief description of the Cocoon Furnace, just so as we talk later in the episodes, maybe some new viewers understand like what the Cocoon Furnace is.
Yeah, so we are the world's first thermal mass furnace, if you get right down to it. Or I like to say the world's first thermal mass furnace. We create gas-like temperatures without all the kabang, without all the carbon monoxide, and all of that. Our furnace is safer, greener. We can run our furnace 100% off grid if we want to, because of the energy consumption that we use. And, it was, I don't know if you remember the old day of, the FUBU, for us, by us, or whatever. Yeah. I always heard it was. Well, you know what, guys, this was, I really had us in mind as well, besides, the homeowner, of course. From my time being in the industry, I have a bad back and, horrible degenerative discs and everything else, and, moving heavy furnaces up and down stairs. And, I tried to design a lot of that crap that I hated out of furnaces. I just try to design it out of my furnace. And, I really hope tonight that we can go through, explain the technology and better, just more in depth, and, also just show the difference. I'm from Missouri. We don't talk. I have so many people like, oh, you need to write a white paper. No, we do here in Missouri. We are action, and that's exactly what I've done with this. Let's not just look at it, let me show you, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome because, I mean, I've said this before, and I probably said it the last time we talked, is I really feel like an industry that, like, we should be further ahead than we are. So we need people like you going to do things like this. And it's funny, we were just talking about him, but like we need like a Elon Musk in our industry, somebody that's going to break the mold from the same bullshit that we always see. Like, all the new stuff, the new mandates, the SEER 2 and EER 2, it's all a fucking joke. It does nothing for the consumer. It's just a monkey wrench, just a make shit harder for us, but it really does nothing. It doesn't demand higher efficiency. And when you listen to some of these other countries like Canada and some other people, Europe and different places, like some of the mandates they have, it's like, well, what the hell are we doing? Like we're just so far behind.
Well, and especially here in the Midwest, right? So, I know you're out on the East Coast, and it's always like the East and West Coast get everything, at least call it 2 to 4 years before we do, here in the Midwest. And, I like to be that change and that drive in this that, hey, look, we have real change that can change our world happening right here in the heart of the United States.
And that's awesome that like how this is, you know, propane costs are outrageous. Oil, like
Yeah.
my rental house that I live in has oil and is astronomical. Thank God that, I have the means to be able to do it, but I can't tell you how many friends, family, and people that I know that they don't. And don't get me wrong, I just spent like it was like $1,300 for uh 200 175 gallons. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. But what am I gonna do? Like not heat my house for my family? So I have, and I'm probably gonna put in a heat pump, but I still need the oil. And it's just we need another alternative, and something like this, when the government starts to get in there like red versus blue, like my wiener's bigger than your stuff, we're the
Right.
ones who pay for it.
Mhm.
So if there's something out there that, we know that we're going to be okay, it's going to last long because obviously people see new stuff and, oh, it's a fad. It'll only be out for a little bit. That's what everybody said about inverters when they came out. Well, inverters are going to be
Right.
the new future. It is what it is. You're not going to see single stage equipment anymore. It's going to be two-stage and inverter, and that's it. So either get on board or get off the train. So something like this would be great to be the new norm at some point.
Well, and what I'm seeing too, let's face it, we have the re-electrification of the world happening again. I mean, we've already been electrified once, right? And it's happening again. And I see just why are we buying oil from countries that want to kill us? That doesn't make any good sense. And we need to get off of that. We need to get off of that yesterday. And I know that my product has the capability to help our nation be 100% off oil. And to me that is a big thing. When I why would I want to give countries money or anything else that that want to see our demise? It just doesn't make good sense to me. It's like Putin turned around and started a war, and oh, we're going to sanction him, but yet we're going to buy his oil. How does that make good common sense?
Yeah, no.
There
Especially
is
when
none.
they say that we have enough oil in this country to last us the next like 270 years. Not to get into a political
Yeah.
debate, but regardless, it's
Right.
it's true. Like I do think that we need to find better ways as far as like electricity, solar, stuff like that. But we're not ready for it yet. We're not
You know
there.
what
The
I
infrastructure's not there.
what I see happening, Gil, in our country and if not around the world, is that microgrids are going to take over. It's going to become, it's going to come down to that, to where you look at it. You've got Tesla's, walls. You've got Generac, coming out with their battery storage, everything else. And A, that's going to make our country stronger. B, that's going to give the consumer the power again, if you will. Put the power back in the consumer's hands. Put the power back in the people's hands is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we're trying to do here at Cocoon, is that our system is adaptive, it is learning, it is all of those things. And it's A, to help the consumer, help the technician, and help us get away from from oil, if you will. Since we're moving in this direction, well, let's move at it sensibly then.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. That's why I hope something like this. I know I didn't follow up last time, and that's my fault. But I want to get the information from the person you said who's not that far from me. You said there's
Oh, yes,
somebody in
yes,
Maryland because I would
yes.
love to go see those units face to face and shoot some videos and stuff. So I'm mad that I didn't do that, but I definitely still do though.
Absolutely. And we may end up being out there here shortly, but in the Baltimore area. So
Oh,
I may
nice.
be making a trip myself, and definitely we'll have to get together for a crab cake. Of course. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's
Hey,
right.
yeah, I got you. I'll show you around town. I just had some people here for what was it? One of the conventions they were here and they were like, "All right, Mr. Baltimore, where do we go?" And
Yeah.
I took them to a place, Jimmy's Seafood, which is really really good. It's hard to say the best because it's like, you know, it's a lot in your taste and there's little things here, but yeah,
Yeah.
somebody put Jimmy's famous. Yeah. So that's where I took him, Kraus. A guy in the one of my moderators, Kraus, he used to be from Maryland, but now he's in Florida, so he knows.
Nice.
Um
Nice.
yeah, that's awesome. So I guess let's explain. So we know that it's thermal mass. So your furnaces look like a normal furnace. For the most part, same kind of dimensions and all that kind of stuff. Still has a blower and the normal, I guess, controls, if you will, not nothing crazy, but rather than a heat exchanger that's going to be a combustion area. I guess if we can explain to everybody, and I know we have some pictures we can show them at some point. Thermal mass, like, so what exactly is that to, in layman's terms?
Well, I tell you what, Gil. If I can go through that, that would probably be the best bet
Yeah,
because I've got a lot of a lot of visuals in there that'll really just make sense. Pictures worth a thousand words, right?
yeah,
And
no, let's rock and roll.
okay, all right, here we go.
Pop it up and then we'll get it on the screen.
You got it there.
Yep, I see it. Oh, it's already scheduled there. Let me put it up. There we go. Let me make sure this name is turned off because it is not Brian Johnson. So let me get that off. Sorry about that. Why is it not letting me turn this name off?
You got this at full screen there, Gil, or just
Yes, yes. So it is at full screen. I'm just trying to get up. It's
well, I
got
was going
some.
to say just a heads up. I can't see you or the questions that come in or anything like that. So
Yeah, that's fine. So I can look at it and then I can ask any questions that need to come
okay,
out. So if you want,
so
we can
I'm just going to jump in here if you're good.
Yep, there we go. I got that name off. It was bothering me. Yeah, go ahead. We're
Okay.
good to go.
All right. So, I'm just going to run through this fairly quick. In some areas, I'll take a little bit more time. But, it's funny. We post these pictures up on social media and you get, oh my gosh, that's a Goodman or that's this, here, insert your favorite condenser here. So we have hooked to just about everything out there. So what I'm going to tell you is, what is Cocoon? How does it work? Our installation. Want to give you the update on our Cocoon Unico aspect, and we've got some other big deals too that we just signed a new company called More Sales Corporation, in which they're a manufacturer rep in quite a few states, and so we're looking forward to working with them as well. But
Nice.
you
Congratulations.
know, yeah, thank you. So we're like say we're the first revolution in heating in 100 years. Let's face it, electric heating hasn't changed in the past 100 years. Path to energy independence, eliminate reliance on fossil fuels, still maintaining those temperatures like you get out of a gas furnace. And in 2019 and all the way to 2021, we were UL verified that we use up to 41% less electricity to produce heat. And I sent you that verification as well, Gil.
Yeah.
You have a
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah.
So
So I have that.
what are the big differences here, right? It's thermal mass, infrared heat, our modular scalability, with the special design features in our controls and our control algorithms. And I'm going to get into a little bit of these in more detail here. So you're getting a look under the hood here. And Gil, I don't think we went over all of this last time, but this is the inside of our furnace. This is the bonnet, if you will. That thermal mass in there is a big hot rock, and it remains hot for a long time. And the mesh screen that you see in there, that's in there for a couple of reasons. One, it helps act as a heat exchanger. Two,
Hey,
it also helps us create turbulence inside the bonnet to make
r-
sure that we're,
real fast, just so you know, our screen didn't change. We're still on the biggest revolution.
oh boy. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Did it change at all there?
No, I don't. I can see them on the side of it, but I don't.
How
it
about
didn't
now? You see everything?
um nope. I see them all on the side. I just don't see it still popped up with yeah, you can take it out. Hopefully it works properly with the
Here,
way
let's
we
try
have.
this one.
Yeah.
You see something now?
I see the biggest revolution. There we go. I see it now.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we'll just leave it in this way. And so, this is what I was going through here. First revolution, where the path to energy independence eliminates reliance on fossil fuels and verified in 19 to 21 that we use up to 41% less energy. And then we're going to go over the differences, and I'll spend a little bit time in some of these, a little bit more than others.
Okay.
So the thermal mass aspect. So here's a look under the hood, if you will. The black plates that you see in there, in each one of our heating chambers, we have 4 of these heating panels inside of there. And so this, the screen mesh that you see in there is in there for 2 reasons. One, it acts as a heat exchanger because what is happening is this is IR energy, right? Line of sight. And in that mesh in there, we capture more of that IR energy in the concave side, or on the concave side, than we do on the convex side. So it really serves as 2 purposes in there. But this is basically what's inside of our furnace, as you can see here. And at the very bottom of this picture, that's our blower motor opening, and where the air is coming out of.
And what's good about those, real fast, is I know that those are not designed to necessarily go bad or anything, but God forbid they do. They're interchangeable. It's not a big deal. Like, oh, your heat exchanger's cracked. Got to buy a new one.
I've been in the homes where we've had, the drunk spouse come home and throwing dishes at one another. And, let's face it, people don't want you in your homes. You don't want to be in their homes as quick as possible. You want to be in and out of there as quick as possible, rather. And I tell you what, and I'll get into this a little bit more because you'll see more under the hood here. You can get in and change one of these panels in less than an hour,
Nice.
which is a big deal. So the infrared and the thermal mass, right? The first law of thermodynamics: energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Can only be changed from one form to another. And our furnace, if you look down in the lower left here, you see a conventional electric heat strip running that is going to produce light. And we are running in a medium to long wave of the infrared spectrum, whereas visible light is above medium, long, and short wave. So already we are not we're not using as much energy as what those conventional electric heat strips do. But yet heat is compounding, right? And that thermal mass really helps that change. We facilitate the change in a more efficient process, to go from energy in the electric, if you will, to heat energy into your home. And, we have no visible light present in when our furnace runs. And we have more surface space inside of the bonnet of our furnace to really affect that, that molecule of air, if you will.
Nice.
The modular and scalability. All right. This is where I designed this, thinking about the technician in mind. How many times have you needed something, just a different way to put a furnace in? Or how about not carrying a heavy furnace up and down a set of stairs? Well, you can break our furnace down into an 18 by 18 by 24 and then carry it into an attic or whatever the case needs to be to save your back or to help, save your technicians, if you will. And so, again, this was a big thing that I wanted to make sure that, I remember being a cub in the trade and carrying the heavy furnaces and, breaking my back basically. And I wanted to make sure we didn't run into that in our stuff.
That is awesome. My installers would love me.
Let me tell you, it makes a difference. Think about coming home at night and not just being totally physically exhausted. Now, of course, our job is very physically demanding, but just if anything to make it better, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So the design features as well. Part of that design feature is our modularity, but some of the other special design features inside of our furnace is what you're looking at here is in the middle of the middle of the picture is our blower chamber. And we have a short air gap in the back that makes our whole chamber, our whole heating chamber, under a negative pressure around the shell, right? So any of that air, that warm air, energy would be escaping out the sides of the furnace. We're trying to pull that back in and bring it back into the airstream. And let me know if this video plays here for you. This is just a video I shot with a heat camera, and you can see how we're creating a mixed air temperature inside of our return box.
Yep,
Is
it's
that
playing.
playing?
Yep.
Yep. So there you can kind of see the air coming down, towards the right side of the pitcher there, coming down, and it's mixing in with that return air. And what we're doing here is we're shooting through a filter. So there you can see the lines in the filter and everything else. But again, very much like what you would see in a commercial economizer, right? Where you're bringing in outside air and you're bringing in return air, creating that mixed air temperature, so that the way you're never heating or cooling, from 0 or 100, if you will.
That's pretty. That's pretty awesome.
That's something that is completely different compared to all furnaces out there.
That's for damn sure.
So our controls and our control algorithms. This is our furnace right here. These are the controls. I tried to kiss this, right? Keep it simple, stupid. I mean, you should have a first-year apprentice be able to work on this furnace with no problem.
Oh, you mean it's not, hey, I need that special board. Yeah, man, that's on back order for like 6 years. Okay, I'm supposed to tell my customer to go F themselves?
No. So, that right there, that is a smart relay. That is a Schneider Mediacon M172. And I'm going to get more into this. You can get it at Gray Bar. You can get it at a lot of the different, supply, not so much like a Benoist or whatever, or a Johnstone, I should say. But you can get these they're pretty readily available, not to mention every other component in here. I again, keep it simple, stupid. I wanted to put parts in here to where, that you didn't have to leave a customer without heat. If there was a catastrophe or whatever the case is, you could at least get half the system running, keep them freeze protection. There's a lot of redundancy that we built into this. And so, you were talking about earlier, if one of the panels, God forbid, went out, right down can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Okay. So right down the sides on the inner chamber, as we like to call it, there's basically, call it, 10 screws. You're going to remove that, undo a few wires. You pull that whole thing out. So you're not undoing the whole furnace, and you're in and out of the, the inner chamber, like I said, in less than a half an hour, 45 minutes.
That's amazing. I mean, and these are these, you'll probably cover this. Are these 120 like a normal furnace, or are these 240 or optional, both, or?
So 240 volts. Now that it's funny you asked that, because our heating panels, we do a couple of different things there. We'll build them in 240 volt, where you'll hook them up just like you would a 240 volt. Or we'll build the panels in 120. The white wires that you see there are 120 volt panels, but if you wire them in series, you can use them in a 240 volt circuit, right?
Yeah.
And, so it's redundancy built in here to where if we had a panel go out, you're not going to lose your whole furnace. You're still going to be able to sit and maintain some sort of heat and comfort in the home.
That's amazing. If you don't mind, we have a couple of questions, if so that way we don't move them, if you want to.
Sure.
Somebody says, we'll probably cover this at the end, but it says, how do they compare in cost from regular furnaces? It's actually it's pretty close to the same. It's not that different. But sorry, I'm answering your question. Remember from last time, but I know we'll probably talk about that more at the end.
Yeah.
But it's not that different, Rookie, just so you know. Somebody says, are there stages, or are these like kind of single variable speed?
Yeah, so a lot of things there going on, and I'll get into some of that as well. We can stage this, through different control programs, and in which I'll show you that here in a second. You can change the program of this furnace by inserting a USB stick into that right there. As you can see inside of the Mediacon, that right where my mouse is, that's for a USB stick. You plug a USB stick in with a program, you cycle power to the furnace, your new program's uploaded that quick. We will be trying to go live with this as far as, programs that we can change from the office here, so to speak. Because the one thing that this does is it data logs too. And, once we capture how this furnace is running inside the home and all that stuff, we can then customize it per home.
Nice. So I guess we got one more, and then if you guys want, hold your questions because I think a lot of your questions he's going to answer through this. But still ask him. Remember to put them in all caps, and I'll try to get back to him at the end. Last one, Mr. Jason Johnson says, "Is it a 24-volt control voltage, or is it
Yep,
like DC
24
voltage?"
volt control. Yeah, 24 volt control voltage. I mean, how many times have we seen the 110 and it's always just a pain in the rear end? You
Yes,
know,
yes.
you, yeah. So 24 volt again. Keep it simple, stupid.
Especially when you get like those old boilers and stuff, and you don't realize it's 115. You're just so used, and you slap on the wrong thermostat, and it goes.
You go, yeah. You let the magic smoke out. That's
Yeah,
good fun.
whoops. But all right, hold your guys' questions. Because
Okay.
as he goes through this, like I said, I think he will answer a lot of your questions. So yeah, let's
Yeah.
go, man. This is awesome
All right.
stuff.
So the terminal blocks in there, if you look, these terminal blocks are numbered as well. Again, simple, right? This is something that we normally don't see in the industry, right? Everybody's going to go, "What the hell is a terminal block?" And they're simple. They are easy. They take 250 pounds of pressure to pull out of here. They're great for shipping. You don't have to worry about stuff coming loose, all that kind of thing. The one thing that is that, okay, you take a screwdriver, you're able to push it in there, open up this gate right here on the terminal block, and you're able to put your wire in, or put your wire in up here rather. And the one thing that we tell all the technicians is make sure that you got it, that you're not crimping too much of your wire off, because we have had these gates come down and cut the wires off because, well, if you strip half of your wire gone, well, that leaves you a lot less to deal with. So,
Yeah.
but that's user error, not an issue with the terminal block. But this is something that that some of the technicians go, "Oh my gosh, what is that?" But it's simple. Once you learn them and you're able to use them, you'll never go back. You'll always use them. Okay, so our Con, this is it right here. We've got all kinds of benefits on this thing. It's got the BMS system for your building management, the USB connection, the micro SD card for the data logging. It is basically a small miniature computer if you get right down to it. It's made in Belluno, Italy from Schneider Electric. And let me tell you, this thing is awesome. If we have one of those contactors go out, it doesn't blow everything up, right? Like on the secondary side that, say a contactor goes out on the secondary side, the controller goes into a fault and it locks up. And, so, I mean, there's just a lot of things in here that, this furnace is a dream to work on compared to some. Now,
Nice.
granted, I'm one-sided on that, but and kind of the same thing here. And I've got another little video here to show, we've got a nice little display on this. We are using the 24 volt aspect for our fan, which we're using a Needex. Everybody might notice it as a Needex Select Tech or Rescue Select motor. But it's either way, it's a 24 volt, variable drive, and they're pretty good. But here, let me just play this. Let me know if you can hear the overlay on this.
All right.
Okay, never mind. It's not going to work. We're having all kinds of issues tonight.
Oh man.
So, but either way, I just shot a video, and Julia sent you a link to that is the same exact video on here, and I think that's on our YouTube channel right now.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So with the furnace and how it runs, right, we have a different efficiency, we have a different curve, and a different duty cycle, compared to what you're used to. If you look at what this picture in the upper right corner is, it kind of explains our duty cycle and what the efficiency curve, if you will, of the furnace kind of looks like. For 1 to 3 minutes, we have a startup time. And then we have our run cycle, which means, that the thermostat is calling for heat. Once the thermostat's satisfied, we then shut off the power to the heating panels and run our blower motor at a reduced speed for anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, until we get basically back down to zero, if you will, or back down to return air. And our efficiency jumps at this point right here when we go into cool down cycle up to like 3,000%. Because, you got to remember that thermal mass in there is just a big hot rock. And you've got, all that heat energy stored in there. And now we're putting it in a more usable fashion back into the home. And the unique operation of this really it has a way of affecting the comfort curve, right? And so this here, how thermal mass affects the comfort curve, right up here at the top, you can see that we have, the set point was 72 degrees. And, so here's what it looks like with the start and stop and the duty cycle and how it runs and how we get a nice wave effect instead of those peaks and valleys.
Well, can't you almost? I mean, and I'm just speaking out loud here. You're the one who invented these things, but the way you said how it is like a big hot rock, can it almost be like programmed to can shut down a little prematurely before the set point because we still have all that heat, that free heat that we can use?
Absolutely. And what we're finding though right now with the way the program works is once the thermostat's satisfied, we then shut the power off, reduce the fan speed, and then this is kind of where you get more of this nice gradual wavy curve, if you will, here.
No.
Like if you look up here in the course of 4 hours, we ran, I think when you add that up or whatever, it comes up to like a 42% duty cycle. We've seen duty cycles go from 20% to 40%. Of course, it just depends on what your outdoor temperature is. And I just wanted to kind of show here that here in Missouri we can experience all seasons in one day. And just kind of showing, we went from 30 degrees up to 55, and I think later on that next day or whatever, dropped back down into the 20s or whatever. But that's what we want to happen is to maintain that comfort curve all throughout, no matter what's happening outside.
No, nice. Yeah, because I guess the only thing I thought about, and like I said, I know that it's obviously not right, but the first thing I thought is how when it slows the fan down and keeps running after the fact, I was just worried about the overheating,
Yeah, and actually, if you look here, you can see our set point, right?
Yeah.
And we're underneath that every time. The reason, okay, except for maybe that one guy right there, that little guy, don't worry about that little guy. But,
He's out of the norm. He's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, he's out of the norm there. But look at all the rest of them. The reason why we don't overshoot the thermostat is because we kill that power, and then you have immediate decrease, in the amount of BTUs that you're putting into the home. And so it's a gradual decline. You're getting more air changes per hour, and you're keeping the air flow throughout the home much more. You're churning it much more in the house.
Nice.
Okay, so our we have a few different series, of furnaces. The compact aspect for call it and we can vary the BTU custom. We can customize the BTU out of them, and actually some of that you guys can do in the field. We wanted to make sure that this was very tech friendly. That at the end of the installation, that you can dial this thing in perfectly. And so, we have quite a few different series. Again, everything fits with inside of our footprint, and just gives you more solutions for your install and whatnot.
I love that.
Speaking of installation, so this is kind of a hybrid of electrical installation and gas installation, except we don't have to vent anything. We are a direct replacement for any furnace out there. You can cut out the sides of our furnace. You can put an A coil on top of this. You can put an A coil behind it. It doesn't matter. We don't care. That thermal mass inside of there, I love putting the A coils in front of the furnace, if you will, doing a draw through coil like what you see here, because now we take those hot rocks and turn them into cold rocks in the summertime. And, that's nice because what we do is we drain the coil, get all the humidity out of the coil, and then turn that blower motor back on, and then, release that cool air or coolness, if you will, off of those rocks. Kind of the same thing that's happening inside of the heating aspect, just not quite as linear, if you will. But we are seeing a little bit of an uptick in efficiency on the cooling side of things.
Yeah, because I feel like you could almost, kind of like those reheat coils they have in like pool and spas and stuff. How that's what Lennox did for the longest time. They pretty much had right before actually, were those right before or right after? I think
The
they might have
Linux
been.
systems?
Yeah, Lennox used to have them in residential applications, and to be honest, it was too much residentially. It was kind of great idea, but the follow through kind of sucked. but it would be where you could, it would be air conditioning, then it would almost be like a reheat coil or something like that to try to help remove humidity and different things like that. And that's almost
Yeah.
kind of like what you could do with this. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. And, let me say something too here, Gil, because this picture over here on the right, this was done down at Lake of the Ozarks, and, the contractor put it in. And, anytime you post anything on social media, there's always the trolls, right?
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
not perfect. Jesus Christ.
like so many people said, "Oh, that's not the right coil," and I'm like, "Can you read what coil that is? Because I sure as hell can't." It's like, you know
Yeah.
what? It's in there. I'm happy to report the thing's working like a champ. So you know what? He did a good job. So kudos to him.
That's awesome. Real fast, somebody asked a questions and said, uh, can this be dual fuel? I mean, it can, but
Oh,
I don't really think you need it though.
well, actually, no. Well, I'm going to get into that. I love pairing with heat pumps. Do that draw through coil on this thing. Oh man, I mean, and I'll show you where we fit in the market on that. We've got real world testing data that we are rivaling the operating cost of geothermal. We're not beating it, but I think we come in next, if you will, when you pair a high efficient heat pump with our system in there.
Also at a
And
fraction of the cost. Geothermal is freaking
exactly,
expensive.
exactly, exactly. And Gil, I was telling you about this. We just signed a deal with Unico, and what you're looking at here is our system hooked up with a couple of different Unicos. The one to the right here is an older Unico system, high velocity system, and the one to the left is a bit of a newer one. But you'll notice on both of these pictures, in which you can see the one on the right says Thermoside. That's before we rebranded the company. But you'll see that, okay, where the one on the left, you've got Cocoon, and then you've got a blank red chamber underneath there. That's normally where our blower motor would go. But what we did is we just made, it just became ductwork, right? We wanted to make sure that the contractor was going to hook it in right. And so what we're actually doing is drawing through our system here, and the blower is this little guy there on the right hand side. So this one here on the left is in Michigan, and the one here on the right is in Missouri. And both of them, the guy on the left here in Michigan, I want to say that he doubled the square footage, usable square footage of his home by putting this system in. And he had all baseboard heating beforehand, and he's of course seen a drop in his bill as well.
That is
And,
sweet.
so that's Unico, in which any place you can get Unico, you can get our systems at. I think over there on the East Coast, they're pretty big over there, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
Am I correct
yeah,
in that?
because a lot of these tight houses, a lot of people are doing Unico. There's a newer one that's out that I forget the name, but it's similar, and yeah, they're huge around here. Because you have old houses with no ductwork, they're not going to start ripping these houses out. They're going to find something else.
Well, now instead of putting that boiler in with that water coil and all that, you've got another heating solution here that is small, tight, and takes up less space.
Nice.
So you were asking, like, kind of where do we fit in? Geo being the guy to the left here, and we're right around in here. We're going to fall within inside of this area, if you will, depending on what is the efficiency of your heat pump, and what is the efficiency and where we sit in at. And this is, of course, for demonstration purposes, but this is all based off of real world testing data and real world bills.
Hmm.
Some of the benefits, that we have, we're better humidity control, simple to install, safer, no carbon monoxide. I don't have to go through all this, but, you can run our systems off grid, grid tie, or hybrid power, in which I hope next year, at the beginning of winter of 2023, we'll be releasing our battery systems to go along with this. But, I'm looking at, I don't want to run your whole house with renewables. I want to run the heart of your home, if you will.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
kind of our approach to it. So, and the rest of this, we're made in the USA. You're gonna see better margins, if you will, with our furnace, because you are selling the Tesla of the industry here. We are not the dime a dozen, if you will, furnace. But to kind of answer that question, where do we fit with inside of that? What you are selling, your 98 two-stage gas valve variable speed drive gas furnaces for, we're going to fit right around in that price range.
Hmm.
And then this is one of our distributors up in Newfoundland, and we've got furnaces all over the world now, in some very cold climates, much colder than what we see here in the United States, up in Newfoundland and Canada and Quebec and whatnot. So we're a little bit all over the place. Italy, England, yeah, just a little bit all over the place. So, did it? I think it just dropped out on me, Gil.
Yeah, it's fine. You can bring it back up.
Okay. So, um,
You good? Or
well,
you
yeah.
got
If anybody's got any questions or anything, I kind of flew through it there, but I wanted to make sure I touched on on the very important issues there, if you will, and just kind of go from there. So.
No, I'm really glad you did that because seeing that really helped, put a lot in perspective. And I know it helped me because last time we talked about it and, the technology is amazing, but being able to see that as you're explaining it, I really think was really awesome. And, and it's funny, you're getting a lot of good, feedback from people in here. Like, this is, it's amazing to keep it simple, stupid. And,
Yeah.
as a technician, this is awesome and things like that. So it's, yeah, that's amazing. So how is this, well, I guess before I get into that, I will, so something I was thinking, are these, so as far as moving around the coil and that whole, thing with the thermal mass where those
Mhm.
little pieces are, how is that as far as like static pressure of like, I would think that it would be better for us come static pressure versus a normal heat exchanger because it's less restrictive.
Yeah, absolutely. Our heating chambers, I think if I remember correctly, it's like about a zero point zero 0.01 or zero point zero 0.02. It's very little static drop across that. Where we see if the customer, of course, doesn't change their filter, which we know they all do, right? Doesn't change their filter or leaves the filter out, then yeah, we can see a little bit more static because now that that mesh inside of there tends to get clogged up. But that's going to be like anything else, getting your blower motor dirty or anything like that. But very little static drop across any of the heating chambers themselves. So you can stack two of them up, or like you've seen the U-shaped build. We've utilized the same furnace inside the industrial application for hot rooms and dry rooms. We just put different limits in them. I can make these things as hot as you want. We can have upwards of a 60-degree temperature rise out of these things.
Mm.
How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? We can make it happen.
Yeah, so that's awesome. If guys, if you didn't hear what Alan just said, so how it's a blower is one box, and then that other stack is where those the pieces are. You can actually double stack those to make two if you need it. So this is kind of plug and play, and he can piece that together if need be. So some of the options you have here are pretty are pretty
Gil,
wild.
hey, Gil, if I can share that again, let me show you this one picture here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because this is actually in my home, or in part of my home, I should say.
Mhm.
And so this picture in the upper right here, this side of the house is 100 years old, or better. It's a stone foundation, all those kinds of things, and it's part of like where they had this ledge. I'm sure, I don't know if you guys got those kinds of homes up there or not, but you go, where did this come from, or why is there only a half basement here? But this is where they decide to put this old 20 kW furnace in there that didn't heat the house or anything else. And so I had to come up with a new solution here. And it was, okay, well, let's stack these heating chambers in this way. And, of course, we've got the limits, in both sides of there, to be safe and everything else. But, let's face it, how many times have you gone on an install and realized, oh, crap, this furnace is too big or too small, or, or whatever the case is. And you just need something more that gives you more solutions. And I think that's what we've provided here. I've seen it many a times too, where I've been on a job and, the sales guy sold it, and half the time he didn't know his rear end from his elbow. And he just sold a furnace in there, if you will. And, well, needless to say, okay, if something like that happens and the furnace is undersized, or, you know, well, you don't have to change out the whole furnace. You can just buy a heating chamber and put the heating chamber in there. And right now, I forgot about this, but I wanted to mention this too, is that we've got customers who are buying heating chambers that are saying, hey, we're putting in renewables and we want to run that particular chamber off of renewable energy. And we're able to do
Nice.
that.
That's sweet. So that one, so the one like you just had, that's so you have two that are being negatively drawn, and then the other one's on the positive side.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, you know, Gil, I tell you what, you know, I've sat many hours in front of this thing. You know, my wife used to get pretty upset with me because, you know, she'd say, you know, oh, the house feels great. And then all of a sudden, you know, what'd you do? You know, well, of course I'm playing with it, you know, and all of that kind of stuff. But, you know, she's been a trooper through the whole thing of, you know, no, I got to make it better. She said, well, just don't break it, you know?
Yeah, right. No, that's wild that you can do that. So when it comes to, I wrote down a shit ton of questions, but
Yeah.
uh, so when it comes to sizing, there really is no sizing. It's just how many stacks you can add, correct? Or
Well, I mean, you know, so okay, so you're partly right in that. You know, of course, there's some sizing issues, you know, that we need to, you know, to look at. Now, the one thing I'll say is the more thermal mass, the more heating chambers that you add, the more hot rocks you add, it gives you a level of what, you know, of energy, if you will, of what we can do with it now. You know, where one heating chamber might have this level, and, you know, three heating chambers might have this level, if you will. Of okay, what can we do with that energy now that it's stored? Are we going to run that blower motor at a reduced speed for 20 minutes instead of 10 minutes? You know, that's where you're going to see a ton of those, you know, a ton of that savings as well, because, you know, you have all that heat stored there, and now you're putting it back into the home at a degraded rate, if you will, and you're just getting those more air changes per hour. The house feels more comfortable. Our customers rave about the comfort of you know, what they see with our furnace.
yeah, I bet. And I guess and you still have to, the blower drive has to meet whatever the output is. So you can't just put a 5-ton blower and everything and call it a day. So,
Well, sort of. You know, so
oh,
our heating elements, yeah, our heating elements, technically, we don't need air to run. I mean, you can run it like you know, a gravity furnace if anybody's ever seen one of those. I don't even know if they're still out there, but
I don't think
um,
so. I've seen one
yeah,
though.
you know, when I was a cub coming in the trade, I got to work on a couple of them. You know, unfortunate me, but you know, yeah, you know, unlike a conventional electric furnace, you got to have that airflow in there, and you got to keep running with that. You know, otherwise you're going to burn those elements out. You know, technically we don't need airflow. I mean, of course we do to get it throughout the house, but we just got more redundancy and more, you know, built into this furnace than what you do in typical furnaces, electric or gas for that matter. You know, we're safer, we're cleaner, and we provide a better level of comfort. I think that's unmatched at this point.
Yeah, that's amazing. And plus, we were talking about low static pressure. So with that being low, that can also help a lot of people's duct issues. You know what I mean? When more
Yes.
air is going to where it's supposed to be going, and it's not bottlenecked inside and ductworks oil cannon plump 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 plump.
Yeah.
So that's huge right there. So are these things like a normal, like, I guess it's heating, so it will be different how we think of like 400 CFM per ton, but airflow is going to be airflow, so that shouldn't.
Well, you know, on our cooling side of things, I like to run things about 350 per
Okay.
ton for that extra dehumidification. If you're getting into like, you know, so I'm a little bit old school here and I think 5-ton air conditioners are BS. You know, they take 4 men and a small boy to move these days.
Yes, they do.
Um, you know, and so, you know, why put them in, right? But and they still have to go in. You know, where we see what our contractors are doing is with our particular furnace or with this model right now. When we come out with our 21-inch wide model, all of these are 18 right now. But, you know, we're looking at coming out with something more of a 5-ton. But how our contractors are getting that 5-ton capacity is they're putting a 5-ton A coil in, using a 4-ton condensing unit to keep the pressures up. So that the way you're not, you know, now you know, and then we're going to run at about 300 CFM per ton on that. And we've got a lot of them out there right now running like that, and they're just killing it. You know, the customers are happy, all those kinds of things. Of course, you're going to get out of your, you know, your rebate structure and all that kind of thing. But, let's face it, at times the solution is more important than a rebate.
Yeah, no. No, for sure. And especially how this is going to last longer than any conventional, maybe besides geothermal, but any other, well, geothermal is not conventional really, but so any conventional system out there, it's going to last probably twice as long, if not more than that.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like, I mean, we're performing well against Geo because let's face it, there is no payback on Geo. When you look at it, your equipment's out before, you're replacing your equipment 2 times before even that loop goes out,
Yeah.
And so, okay, if the Geo's, 60 or 80 grand to put in and we're 30, well, you're still way money ahead and you're going to see those nice savings, if you will. And I'm not saying it's cost $30,000 for our system to go in. I'm just trying to make the point that
Yeah.
you're not going to pay that crazy Geo installation cost. We've got a new solution here that'll give your customers the next best thing.
Yeah, I mean, and for people with Geo, unless you're moving into a house that for one you have the space to be able to put a loop, even there's different kinds, and you're going to live there for 30 years and pass it down to your family, it doesn't make a lot of sense to even do it. Like I've never been a huge fan. Like I get what it does, I understand all that, the science behind it, but I've never seen it. And I know they give shit ton of rebates that you're talking about to get people to do it, but it still doesn't average out.
At
Uh,
least here in Missouri, we have yet to see a geo system that was, that where the customer had a return on investment that wasn't out 20 plus years. Compared to ours, depending on what market you're in, you're going to see a return on investment on your system anywhere between 3 and 5, and in some cases, we're seeing even quicker than that. We're seeing like a year return on investment. Again, it kind of depends on your market.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So, somebody asked a good question. So, is there any difference when performing like a manual J or D or like, straight across the board with like BTU calculations or like how you do your load
No,
calcs?
Yeah, so that's one area that and that's one other thing I wanted to say too. Like in our 2000 series, we're a single circuit to that 160 amp circuit. But yet you're going to get the output very similar to an 18 to 20 kW furnace, where normally you would have 2 or 3 circuits to that furnace.
Yeah.
And so I would say as far as are yes, do your manual J, of course, do those kinds of things and get that BTU aspect, and then you can size accordingly from there.
Nice.
So yeah, there's where it comes down. We had one contractor, he said, well, Alan, he said, I'm just going to say each box is a 10 kW box, okay, that has a single circuit to it. Okay, that's kind of a good rule of thumb, if you will. Maybe 8 if you want to be, on the conservative side of things.
No, that makes sense. Just kind of rule of thumb. So let me ask you this. So like a normal, what kind of preventative maintenance do we got to do on these things? So when we do maintenance plans, I mean, obviously wires, you're going to have to make sure wires are tight and check relays, contact, stuff like that. What else different would be a typical maintenance on these?
Change the filter, make sure your wires are tight. That's what it comes down to. Now of course, in a maintenance, we say, hey, take your amp draws, check your panels, because if you continue to keep that and you look at that, are you getting panel degradation? Year 1, it was drawing 7 amps and year 2, it's drawing 5. Okay. What happened? I mean, so, and that's any furnace, quite honestly, or anything, I mean, it's always good to just keep those good, keep that good data. But as far as time wise, check your electrical connections, make sure that, your screws are tight. With those gates that are on the terminal blocks, you don't have to do anything. What we tell the contractors to do is just give it a little tug, just make sure it's not going to come out of there. That's more, what you want to make sure, or it's not sitting in there funny or something like that. Sometimes you just never know, but really that's it. I mean, there's
Should we
next to
check?
no maintenance.
Should we check those? How we said, some customers maybe don't change their filter and they always change it just before we show up.
Yeah.
Should they be taking those out and looking to make sure that what is it, the netting for like
Yeah. The mesh
turbulation?
in
Yeah,
there.
the meshing that to clean that or no?
No, I mean, of course, well, as a service technician, if I pulled that blower and I seen that it was caked or, whatever, well, yeah, I'm going to look inside the heat exchanger, at that point, or look inside the furnace, in which it's nice. You can pull that blower motor out, you get your phone in there, take a picture upwards, and you'll be able to see if that's open or if it's got dirt or whatever the case. Nice thing is, if you need it, 10 screws. or if you need to clean it, it's 10 screws. You pull that sucker out, clean it off, put it right back in.
That's
You know,
awesome.
you're in and out of there. I mean, that's what I wanted to make sure it was. Keep it simple, stupid. You know, the other thing when I was in the process of designing this, you know, that's when, you know, in our industry we heard a ton of, you know, we're losing service technicians. We don't have enough people. And you know, we're kind of seeing a little bit of that change here in the Midwest. I'm not sure what you guys are seeing on the East Coast there. Are people still hard to come by?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, people that
Well,
are worth a damn.
Well, there you go. I mean, and that's another reason why, you know, I wanted to try to keep it simple, was color coding, numbering the wires. A first year apprentice, as long as he can read a service schematic, there's no reason why he can't work on this furnace. I mean, it's basic electricity 101 inside of there. You know, where we tend to get some of the pushback, if you will, is the terminal blocks and the controller, but it's like any other board, right? You got power coming in, no power going out. You know, you got a problem there. The difference with ours is you can upload the program and see if it's a program. You know, knock on wood, we have yet to have a program fail. You know, all the programs keep, you know, they hold true in the controllers and all that. So, you know, but again, I mean, they're like no other board. I mean, they're just like any other board, if you will. Power coming in, no power going out. You know, you got a problem with it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I know since last time we talked, how is it as far as you know, getting the equipment and manufacturers picking up? Is it still like direct through you guys directly?
You know, it depends on where we're at now. I mean, we've got a lot more representation across the country. Like I said, we just signed up with more Sales Corporation, and they're in, gosh, Indiana, Missouri, Kansas. I mean, a ton of states. You know, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois. You know, we just signed them up, and they're a manufacturer's firm, and then we're also in with Unico. So any place you guys can buy Unico systems, you can buy our furnaces through them as well.
Nice. Well, I keep missing this question. Mr. Jason Johnson's asked, "Is the controller Modbus?"
Yes, actually, I think it's got 3 or 4 different protocols in there: Modbus, BACnet, and there's one other. I can't remember the other one that's in there, but yeah, it's got a couple of BMS protocols in there.
No, that's pretty sweet. I love it. And I was looking at this. I wanted to make sure I said congratulations. I saw where it's by Missouri, the business bulletin
Yes,
where you guys got the prestigious product spotlight. So that's it's pretty sweet. First revolution in indoor climate control since 1919. So that's pretty awesome. You guys are being recognized at home.
yes, yeah. So you know, we're part of the Buy Missouri program, and you know, they reached out and said, "Hey, can we do a spotlight?" I said, "Please do." You know, absolutely. Let's.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's one of the things that, you know, we're trying to build as much as we can here in the United States, of course. And you know, let's face it, you know, our kids need jobs, right? And I need, you know, I don't want to outsource this to, you know, China or anything else. You know, I want to keep it here at home.
Yeah, no, and that's awesome because you know, because when I hear people say that makes you realize it's about quality. That's why I bring that up. One of my sponsors, Yellow Jacket, because nowadays you can always think about profits and be like, oh well, I can get this made over there and it'll be kind of the same. You know, quality's a little different, but we'll be able to make more money. You know, so when people do that and there's like, hey, it's made in the USA. Yeah, it's I pay a little bit more in manufacturing, but I trust my product and the quality of what I'm giving. You know.
Well, and I got to tell you, you know, where we've had some pushback, you know, is really from the installer because our metal is too tough. You know, I mean, we're using a thicker gauge metal, but I wanted to make sure when you grabbed a hold of the furnace, you didn't grab a hold of, you know, something you're going to push and it's going to sound like thunder, you know. And I don't want to throw any of the competitors under the bus, but you know, there's a lot of furnaces out there that you can grab a hold of those things, push them, and you think you're going to push the whole thing over, you know.
Yeah, it's like aluminum
Um,
foil.
Exactly. You know, and that's kind of the thing. I wanted to make sure when, you know, when you got a hold of this furnace, you felt it, you felt the quality in it. You know, that yes, this is a, you know, again, I like to say we are the Tesla of the industry. We are not a dime a dozen product here, you know, if you will. You know, if you're strictly selling on price, well, we may not be a fit, you know. I'm not looking for that, that cheap install, or if you will. I'm looking for those people who, are, energy conscious, who are, want to maintain a level of comfort they haven't had before, and just really take it up a notch, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, that's the kind of company we are at Beltway. We're about quality, not quantity. And
Right.
not every customer is ours. We're not the cheapest guy in town. We're closer to the most expensive. To be honest, we're not the most expensive, but we're closer to that than we are probably the middle guy, but we make sure that you get what you pay for, it's worth
Right.
it.
Well, a lot of people say, well, I can buy an electric furnace for this. Okay, but you're not buying the same thing. I mean, that's you're, it's like buying a Yugo or a Ferrari. Which one do you want? Or buying a Geo Metro or a Ferrari. I mean, you want the better car, of course. And that's what people want. I've always just felt that it's like, no, we're not coming out with a good, better, best market. You're buying the best of the industry, and that's my stance. That's the stance I want to take as a manufacturer, and as the product development too. I want to make sure that we are the leading industry right now.
Yeah, and that's awesome because a lot of the manufacturing process, a lot of it's about get it in, get it out, get it in, get it out, and then that's what it is, and that's why you have different issues and stuff like that, and there's no way around it. But speaking of that, so when it comes to warranty, I saw 10 years on parts. Is there options like ways that we can buy labor warranties through? Because I know some manufacturers, they provide that, and then we can purchase the labor for the customer through that.
Yeah, I haven't got that far yet. Keyword there is yet. Right now it's just okay. We're getting out. It's about trying to take that market share. It's about getting and just telling the world of what we are. Here's what we have, and then go from there with it. So we're continuing to add new things. We're actually, that's one thing I wanted to let you know. Here you are. You're getting the exclusive here. We've got an app getting ready to come out, to where now it's all going to be at your fingertips. You guys are going to be able to turn around, pull it up. You're going to be able to see the installation manual, see everything else. There's going to be a lot that you can do with the app.
Nice.
Excuse me. And so that's not quite done yet. I'm hoping to have it here released by the first of the year rather.
Sweet. That is awesome. I guess you got Mr. Jason Johnson all puffed up about this controller. He said DDC or Lion Talk. Lion
Lawn Talk. I,
Lion
I
Talk.
want to say it's DDC is that third one, but I'd have to look it up on one of the. Or yeah, I'm not 100% sure on the third one, but I think he's on the right track there. It's
Yeah.
either going to be DDC or Lawn Talk.
Now you're nerding out, Jason. Relax, for Christ's sakes. Jesus, man. Scaring away my guest. It's like, nah, Jason's good. He's a smart dude. He works on a lot of bigger stuff, is normally what he does, like commercial, industrial stuff. Um,
Well,
I'm
that's
trying.
that's one of the things. I mean, if you got industrial customer, I mean, we're in the industrial space, hot rooms and dry rooms. And then same thing with commercial. And I'll get. We're going to be releasing more on the commercial aspect here very soon, probably at the first of the year here in 2023.
Awesome. Trying to make sure I didn't have anything else. We got warranty. All right, so I guess last question. I know we're past an hour right now. So
Hey, that's fine. I'm good. However long you want to
yeah,
go.
if say somebody watching right now is like, you know what? I want to sell these furnaces. Like, I want to be a Cocoon dealer or whatever it is. Like, I believe in this. I want to do this. How do they go about doing this?
The best thing is go to our website, fill out the distributor page, the distribution contact on there, and then we'll get back to you guys. And then, provided if we don't have representation in your area, then yeah, you just may be buying from us. But if we do have representation in your area, then of course we're going to have to, support our supply chain there.
Nice. If you don't have one here, then I might have to make my own.
Yeah.
um, well, you know what? It's actually funny that you say that. So, um, I don't want to like spill the beans, but me and Ryan, the owner of the company, kind of had a plan, especially the way it's been getting with equipment. So, say we, I, s- was- me and him say we want to go exclusive with Cocoon. Um, could I purchase like bulk? Like, hey, because our thing is I want it in a warehouse, and when I need it, they go grab it, it's there. So that we're not missing out because it's like, oh, that system's not going to be in until Friday. We can't do it. So we're looking at whatever it is to get in bulk to have it kind of simplify it. What I love about this is I don't need, 15 different furnaces. It's, I can simplify it with a couple of matching ACs or heat pumps or whatever it is. And that's all I need. Grab it and go. I can install next day.
Yeah, so absolutely, you can buy in bulk. The other thing about that too is that and I didn't answer your question. How are we with the lead times and whatnot, and what are we seeing in the supply chain issue? Because we're using components that are readily available, if you will. I mean, let's face it, contactors are a dime a dozen. We haven't had a shortage on those, knock on wood.
Yeah, right.
So um, but where we've run into our issue, if you will, is the few components that do overlap. Like no other furnace is out there putting in terminal blocks. No other furnace is using the smart controllers. Like we've got. Everything else is a dime a dozen, if you will. So we've been pretty fortunate in regards to that. Where we have run into some issues has been our blower motors. Every company's hitting that because of the chips.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough that we bought early, a good amount of stock, and so I mean we really haven't had the issues like everybody else has seen because we're not using the same parts. I mean, I just can't express that enough. It's like some people, they'll sit there and go, oh, well, this is an electric furnace. I'm sorry, you tell me how my furnace and an open coil are the same. I don't see it. They look totally different. There's two totally different concepts here, and they perform totally different as well. And so kind of that same basis, in the supply chain, we're not using the same parts as everybody else, and we haven't had the issue like everybody else has.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and it's definitely not the same because um, it's heating way better and using a fraction of the energy to do it. So I don't know how somebody could, at least not somebody in the trade who understands, could say, "Oh, this is just another electric furnace." Yes, it's electric, but it's definitely 100% different.
It is, and I mean, that's. I mean, again, just for people out there to say no, all electric's the same. I think that's just asinine. Quite honestly, it's like you're not going to put two cars next to one another and say they're the same because what matters is under the hood. What matters with us is inside of that bonnet. We're completely different.
Yeah, no, I agree. Um, Guys, if does anybody got any questions? So Adam,
Yeah.
uh, he already covered that. So they have supply houses they deal with. If they don't have one in your area, then yes, you can direct buy from them if they don't have one in your area. Mr. Jason, say you had a blower failure, can you put in a PSC in to get the customer by without a com error?
Absolutely. As long as it's a 24-volt signal, or if it's just a direct drive, just 240-volt, you're good to go. Absolutely, you can. We've had customers, or we've had contractors do it, before. We had one here in Missouri where, of course, let's face it, we're all, faced with what ductwork was left there, right? It was,
Yeah.
your supplies 8x8, or whatever, way undersized. And yeah, we went through a couple of motors, and then that's the one thing that we find with our furnace is that the more data that we collect, the more that we're finding that okay, we can overcome these problems. It's just a matter of making sure that the furnace is dialed in properly for that issue. But yes, to answer your question, you can totally put a PSC and use it as a as an emergency aspect. Now you're not going to get of course you don't want to leave it in there like that because the furnace is not designed with those types of motors,
Yeah.
but in an emergency situation, you totally could.
Yeah, he said so the controller won't fault on a blower com error.
Nope. Nope.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, really all the blower sees from our controller is a signal. That's it. You know, it's not looking as far as like, it's a 24-volt signal. That's it. So, I mean, it's not, they're not communicating back and forth, if you will, at this point.
Nice. Listen to some of the question. HVAC God 101. Oh, that's not a question here. How much do you think you should get paid for 2 years experience and you're a damn good tech around IN? Um, well, to me, years in the trade don't necessarily matter. It's about what you can do. So, you know, 2 years in, you still gotta, it's good 2 years in, you know what you're doing, but you still gotta kind of, crack your nut, so to speak,
Yeah,
and
you got some dues to pay.
yeah, exactly. So you still have some
Yeah.
experience, but what I would say to you is if you love what you're doing and you're good at what you're doing, then you should find a company that believes in training the next generation and training people. So we have training classes every single day. Every day. I'm doing some kind of training with somebody, whether it's on a team scale, individual scale, whatever it is. Um,
Yeah.
so it's
And
hard to put an amount.
speaking of that, Gil, I mean, training, absolutely. Man, I'd love to get on and train all the time. I love doing that. You know, we we have furnaces at the sheet metal workers local in St. Louis, and we go down. We've got them there. We've got them in colleges throughout Missouri here, and we go and we do training and try to talk to the young guys coming in and young ladies as well. That hey, you're in a good trade, and so that's kind of part of our grassroots movement too, if you will, is that trying to get the next generation of HVAC tech to see us and to see why we are better than the other furnaces out there. But again, coming down to that training, we're all about that. What do we need to do to help you guys be successful? We want to make sure that we're here to support you any way possible.
Nice. Are you guys doing any of the trade shows or expos?
Yeah, so the HVAC Excellence, I get to be a speaker there, and we're going to dive into the technology differences a whole heck of a lot more than what we just did this evening as well. That's in March in Vegas. I don't have the exact dates here, but HVAC Excellence, or they go by another name too. I can't think of the name of it offhand here, but so yeah, we'll be there. I think we're going to go to the AHR show just to see and go. We're not presenting this year. We didn't get that in time, and not to mention, still kind of coming off the whole COVID thing, like everybody else. So dealing with supply chain and all that stuff, we just decided that no, it's better off to, we're going to hit it in 2023 or 2024, whatever it is there rather.
Nice. If
But
you go to AHR, so I'm always there and I podcast live from the podcast pavilion. If
oh, awesome.
if you come, let me know. I'd love to have you podcast live there with me on the pavilion
Yeah,
floor because then we can bring up this topic and I know we can get a crowd as far as talking about this. So we'll have to work that out.
absolutely. Would love to.
All right, cool. Yeah, HVC Excellence. Now I'm trying to think of the other name. You got me thinking.
Um, yeah, gosh, HVAC Excellence or ESCO Group. ESCO.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's cool.
ESCO Group. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that put on the uh, EPA test too.
Yes. Yeah.
People get those and they come across this ESCO. Let
Well,
me see.
I'm really looking forward to that because I get to go out, and a lot of that is, of course, are the trainers, if you will, in the colleges and all those kinds of things, and really looking forward to that, to showing the differences. We're looking at bringing a system, and running it off grid at the show, showing that and showing the heat aspect, and again, I mean, you can sit and talk all day long, but a picture's worth a million words, right? And seeing it and touching it and feeling it's even better.
Yeah, that's why I definitely if you come up this way, that's even better. But if God forbid that doesn't happen, I definitely want to get off my ass and see that one around here because I definitely want to see these in person because I just want to check it out.
Gil, I don't eat to live. I live to eat. So as long as there's crab cakes involved, man, I'm in. How's tomorrow?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down. Yeah, because I want to see one of these operate. The technology just looks amazing, and like I always say, I like to be on the cutting edge of things, on the front of that wave, and not the guy riding behind it because he was scared of change or scared of technology. When inverters first came out, I was all right, let me learn as much about this as possible. Let me see
Mhm.
what this is. And everybody was like, you don't need that shit. It's 14 seer single stage is all you need. And those people are stuck in that now. They're like they're forcing to learn things and forcing themselves to adapt to the times when people who embraced it, now it's just another day at the office for us.
Yep. Yeah, and we still find that too. Trying to call around and talk. Just to get our word out there, if you will. And just saying, hey, look, here this is. And it's amazing to me how many contractors are like, nah, we're good. Nah, we're stuck in our way. We ain't moving. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't think I want to be a part of that anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
And a lot of those people are, um, they're stuck in their ways because of the money that they make. So obviously, any business, we want to make money, want to make profit. We don't do this shit for free. We all got
right?
families to feed. But at the same token, we we don't want to be a run of the mill company. We don't want to be just another guy in the phone book. I said phone book. That tells you how old I am. But it's, we want to be setting a standard that is different. And something like this, if you get in line with something like that, it all works out. First of all, nobody's going to be offering in your area this, at least not right now.
That's right.
So when you go bid against somebody, okay, yeah, I can sell you that basic shit like that guy is, or you can buy something that is brand new, state of the art, and it's a game changer.
You,
Nobody
you
else
know,
can match that.
Yeah, and I love that. When we get the contractors that call us like that, and they're saying, "Hey, I'm really looking at this to differentiate us from the competition here," because they're like, "Let's face it, everybody's selling the same thing, and then a lot of times it might, maybe you can upsell your company and the service and all that stuff, but it's a whole nother ball game when you have something cutting edge, and just sets you apart completely."
I'm trying to find what is the name. I want to share it real fast. What is the name of your YouTube channel? Just Cocoon or?
Yeah, I think yeah, you're asking. Yes, Cocoon, and then actually on some of those links, I think I posted them on my personal, but we'll get them over to the YouTube there. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Oh, I see. What makes me feel good when you search Cocoon Furnace? It's our last episode is one of the first ones that pops up. So
Yeah, you told me that you had a pretty good download or whatever the case with that, and yeah,
yeah. So normally it's the audio download that does good. These videos, sometimes these videos, sometimes we'll have 15 people watching, sometimes we'll have 500, 1,000 people watching. So the video isn't, but yeah, the audio download of it did amazing. It's actually one of the higher ones that is up there. But I'm going
mhm.
to share this for you guys. Copy. Let me see if I can put this in here, and this is going to be I guess that'll work. There's the direct link.
Yeah, Cocoon HVAC.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of different videos on there if you search it. That's all I did. And there's a bunch of different things that are on there.
I've got a few on there, and some of the stuff from early on years ago. We donated some systems to some food pantries and all that kind of stuff. And I come from some very humble beginnings, and we, as a kid, we relied on food pantries. My family did, and so of course, giving back, if you will, that's really a part of us. Just Giving Tuesday was the other day, and our company, we have a philanthropic agenda to us as well, what we call Heating with a Heart. And
Nice.
it's where we try to either A, get equipment out, or B, we go to just different functions to just give back, and whether it's construction or whatever the case. But definitely check us out. We're looking to do more with that as well. It's called Heating with a Heart, and we've got that on our website, and you can check that out there as well.
That is pretty sweet.
Yep.
So you
Habitat for Humanity. I see Jason on there. That's one that we do as well.
yeah, and uh and the website is just is it still is it Cocoon now? Because before it was the Thermosci or whatever, right?
Yeah, it was Thermoside, but it's Cocoon Revolution, cocoonrevolution.com. And I think right now, if you do a search, Cocoon HVAC, Cocoon Rev, Cocoon Rev, I mean, a number of different things, it'll pop up. And again, just cocoonrevolution.com. And definitely, check it out. We've got some other videos in there. I think I told you we shot a documentary with PBS in 2020.
Yeah.
We've got the corporate one in there. as well. And I would totally recommend watching that. And a lot of contractors, they'll use that as sales tools as well. Or, just because then, they'll, it really kind of gives them an opportunity to, show that customer a 2 minute, 4 minute video, whatever it is. And then, they're able to talk, more intelligently about the product, with the customer. But,
Yeah, well, I could just, and granted, I come from a little. I mean, I'm a technician, but I was good at sales. Is how I made my bread in the industry. But, you know, with the sales mind, I just picture walking into somebody's house like, hey, what if I could give you the heat of an oil, of a propane, of a natural gas? But here's the kicker. You don't have to pay for any of that stuff. It's a fraction cheaper, and the system's going to last longer than one of those. If I told you that I could offer you that, what would you say? A customer's going to be like, all right, you're just bullshitting me now. And it's like, no, actually, I'm not. It's this thing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, I feel like, especially the world we're living in right now, this has more of a market than ever for customers to want it.
Well, and you're right. I mean, let's face it, the war in Europe is not a good thing, by any means. It's thrown the world into an energy crisis, and everybody from across the globe is reaching out. They are looking for new solutions, and we have a solution. And you're talking about oil quite a bit in Newfoundland right now. That's all he is focused on, is changing out oil furnaces, because there's such a big rebate and everything else that's going on. It's right now the place that you can get a rebate on our furnaces in Newfoundland. It's hopefully we'll in 2023 we hope to have that remedied here in the U.S. But he's killing it up there, just knocking oil out. And putting our furnaces in, and the customers are loving it. Think about what would happen if you took an oil furnace out of somebody's house and put a heat pump with conventional electric in. They're going to hate it because it's cold heat, right? With ours, you're going to get those hotter temperatures. You're going to get that more gas-like feel. And we don't have that same issue, that I used to see back when, of people going, oh yeah, take my gas furnace out, put an electric in and a heat pump. And then they call us back and go, man, this is cold. It's
Yeah.
there's a
Trust me,
difference.
I want one. If I was gonna stay in this house, I'd buy one for you for this house. But we'll see how my next house is when I actually buy my next house and it's what I want and all that kind of stuff. I might do that. The only thing is uh, I'm just wondering how it would be possible for me to be able to have like some kind of inverter outdoor wired up to this.
So a lot of people are saying, yeah. So are you guys Bosch at all, or use those, or
No,
just any of them?
I would use a Bosch.
Well, a lot of people are, how does it work, with, pairing up with the inverter driven stuff? We haven't had any issues thus far. Now, of course, we're not going to communicate like some of the other furnaces do, but it's a matter of give us the proper signal. What is the airflows you're looking at? I mean, it's very customizable with our system, and you can set that right in the field. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah, so I guess the only ones that you wouldn't be able to match up with are going to be the so-called communicating systems, the ones that,
Yeah.
the carrier infinities and stuff like that, which I used to have those and I love them. But I know that's one of the good things. Goodman has ones where it's the brains in the, well, their brains in the board, but you wouldn't be using that board. So I know
Yeah.
there's got to be a workaround. So that's it's not a problem.
Oh yeah, yeah, and we've got a couple of them paired up with some IDS stuff.
Nice. Well, that might be something that I wanna look into because I definitely want whenever I do move, I inverter air conditioner is a must. I want that. I did have two. My last house before I sold it, I had two of the 20 SEER carrier inverter heat pumps, and
Hmm.
they guarantee 115 at the register, and that was straight electric. And you would have thought that I had
Yes.
gas heat. It was
Hmm.
definitely amazing, but they were also cream of the crop at the time. And it was cheap. It was cheaper than what was there, but I don't want to say it was cheap to run because that would be a
Right.
lie. But for the comfort I got on the size house it was worth it. But I'm definitely open to some other operations. I mean, other options. I just love the variable speed AC because of the dehumidifying and the quality and the comfort you get.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And I tell everybody out there that, something like this, if you're an owner, look into it, be a trendsetter in your area and at least legitimately look into it and see what they have to offer. Check out the products, see it firsthand. Um, to see what it can, like I said, be on the front of that wave to change technology. Worst case scenario, you just add it as another option to what you're already doing. It's not saying forget what you're doing and just do this. This is
Right.
another tool in your toolkit. Um, if you're a technician, say something to your the people you work for. Like, hey man, I saw this awesome podcast with this sexy bearded guy, and he had this guy Alan on from Cocoon Furnace talking about this technology that sounds fucking amazing. Uh, you know what I mean? So just all about the conversation. Conversation gets
Right.
started, and we keep doing that. Next thing you know, we talk about Carrier, Train, Lennox, and then all of a sudden, Cocoon's in the same conversation.
It's not if, it's when.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I
You
agree. And
know,
this is, and to be honest, I think it's awesome. And I don't want, I wanted to ask you this question, but I don't want it to sound, I don't want, this isn't a negative thing, but I'm
Mhm.
wondering, like, why hasn't somebody came up with this technology already? You know what I mean?
I get asked that quite a bit, and it's not a negative thing whatsoever. And I can say this is that when you are an engineer at somebody else's firm, at one of the big seven, they tell you to think inside their box, right? Make my box cheaper, make it better, make it work, whatever. Well, I didn't have that. I didn't have to have that. I could think outside of the box. And there's also a little bit of just happenstance too, if you will, or you call it sheer dumb luck, or call it destiny, whatever you like. I was putting in a kitchen for a guy when I seen, he's the guy who made the heating panel. When I seen this heating panel hanging above his car, of all places, with no fan on it, and I felt heat coming out of this thing. That's when the aha moment happened. That's when that light bulb went off, and I went, "Ooh, I could do something with that." And that's when I started buying them and testing, and first testing in the garage, if you will, in the basement. And I had a brand new system. My wife, I told her, I said, I want to take it out. She goes, "Are you crazy? You just paid like $8,000 for it." And this is 20 years ago or whatever. And
Yeah.
and I said, yeah, I do want to, take it out. And but I think that's the real reason, if you get right down to it, Gil, is that they are made to think inside their box. And let's face it, not a whole lot of engineers are very creative. They can solve problems like crazy, and everything else. But when it comes down to, can you build something new? Maybe not. And I just didn't have that issue where I had to think inside the box and I could try things new. And I've always been like that. This is the second energy invention I've brought to market. All the LED lights that you guys see on the road today, I'm the guy that kicked that off in the country.
Oh
I just
shit.
didn't sell that patent for enough money. Otherwise, I'd be in St. Croix instead of St. Louis. You know,
Wrong saint, damn it.
yeah, right. But it's so energy has always been a passion of mine, if you will, or just creating and kind of go from there.
That's awesome. And I love that mentality. And I feel like people who have been in the trade and have gotten their hands dirty and do it, they're the ones that think of ways that when you're doing something like, we could do this better or things like that, like somebody else that I really look up to and admire is Mr. John Pastorillo, which is the CEO
Oh yeah.
of Refrigeration Technologies.
Mhm.
He was a chemist, but he also was in the field and he was like, well, I can make better shit than these products. You know what I mean? So he put his two
Yeah.
passions together, and now a lot of products out there are stolen from him and just twisted a little bit. You know what I mean? So that's why, and a lot of things that people don't realize that we have in the industry are people who worked, like the other one that Supco sells, the
Oh
attic
yeah.
the attic thing. I had Steve
Mhm.
Snyder on. He was in the industry and thought about, like, there's got to be a better way. And I feel like those are the ones who make some of the best products for this industry because they lived it, they were in it, and they realized that there's a better way to do this.
Well, necessity is the mother of all inventions, right? I got tired of breaking my back. I got tired of needing, uh, 8 hours to change out a heat exchanger. I got tired of those things. And that was just one thing that just really. I tell every engineer, young engineer I see today, I say, you want to be the best engineer you can, go get in the field. Don't just do your book work and then go to work for some engineering firm. Go get in the field. You are going to be leaps and bounds better than every other engineer in the industry.
Yeah, they work in theory, and it's funny, every tech has that when you go to a call and the guy's like, "I'm an engineer," and it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
obviously you couldn't fix it. You called me, so just get out of my way. Go draw a picture or something like, um, but
I used to be a balancer, right? A tab balancer. And I made the mistake one time of telling the engineer he was wrong. Well, guess who got thrown off the job the next day? You know, that
yeah,
was like, had in the course you quickly learn, it was like, no, okay, I need him to make it his idea, even though he's the guy that designed it. And I said, no, this ain't working like you designed it. I was still, the bad guy in that situation. But, and I mean, it's not just engineering. I mean, it comes down to people, right? It's not just engineers, it's people in general that, um, it's, yeah, I was able to think outside the box.
yeah, no. Well, I know one thing. I'm glad you did. Sorry, I'm trying to
No
people
worries.
leaving in comments. I want to say, well, that's gonna take too long to look for that. So, um, yeah, the people who left, thank you, Zeke. I appreciate you for coming in, buddy. Have a good night. But yeah, damn, it's almost 9:45, 10 o'clock here, so I won't keep this going too far. But I thank you so much for coming on, Alan, because I really do love talking about this. I love you know, now that I'm in the office and running the company, like my inner tech nerd kind of doesn't get fed all the time. So I love hearing
Mhm.
about these things. I love changing the industry, making each other better, stepping the game up for things in the industry. That's why I love the first time we talk, hearing about this product. And that's why, like, you coming back on, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I would love to talk and hear about this again.
Thank you.
Yeah, not to mention I want people to know about this and know it's an option. Um, and like I said before, people just try it out and just let it be another tool in the tool bag. Like, let it be another option you offer to customers. Nobody's saying, all the equipment you use now, throw it in the trash and just do Cocoon. Just,
Right.
give your customer that option. And who knows? Maybe that start being the only option that they take.
They might find a product they fall in love with,
Yep,
which
exactly.
a lot of our contractors do.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So, all right, Alan, before we close this out, if you have anything else that you would like to say before we close this out, my man.
Well, thank you for having me on. Absolutely, and totally. If we're at AHR, I'll definitely reach out. Would love to do this again, especially in person, and yeah, go from there. And to answer Jason's question, we do have some commercial coming down. Check out our website, Jason, for the industrial side. We do have some information on there on the industrial side as well. And but yeah, thank you again, Gil. Do appreciate it, and look forward to meeting you at AHR.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, if anything ever changes, just hit me up and we'll keep checking in every so often as things change because I really love what you're doing. I love this whole product. So we can definitely do AHR. And if you come down this way to Baltimore, definitely let me know. And I would love to meet up with you and see that. So definitely keep in touch.
We'll make it
Uh,
happen.
all right, my man.
All right.
Yep, let me start closing this thing out. So, thank you everybody for being here tonight. I appreciate you guys. I don't know why this one's facing that way. Let me hold on a second here. Do. Let's turn mirror off here. Oh, I can't because it's locked. Hold on here. Unlock. Hey, there we go. I just flipped sides. Anyway, thank all of you for coming out tonight. As always, I appreciate my moderators. So thank you to Rookie, Mr. Kraus, Zeke, and I think Mr. Tunge was here as well tonight. I really appreciate you guys, being here and keeping track of the comments and stuff for me. So, um, guys, like something like this is awesome. What Alan is doing with Cocoon, I think this is amazing technology. And to be honest, the first time I heard this, and I think I said this to Alan the first time, you almost look at it and you're like, from a technician standpoint, like it's too good to be true. Like, man, this thing it's easy to install, it's easy to work on, it does an amazing job of heating. Like, this has got to be a pipe dream, but it's not. It's not a pipe dream. It's really something that's out there that we can offer to our customers. And I feel like we need to at least give something like this a try and make it an option. Because right now, let's be honest, the American people and us, we're getting fucked between these energy mandates, the stuff the governments are putting out with this whole new Sear 2 bullshit, which is the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard of. And whoever thought of Sear 2 and EER2, like you couldn't think of another name, you know? That sounds like an engineer sitting in a room, and got stoned and was like, dude, we're going to call this Sear 2, you know? But so I love to see things like this that are trying to advance us. And, this is that calm sea of all those other brands out there making the same shit every day. And, a big rock just gets thrown into the lake and everybody's like, oh, what the fuck? Waves are rocking. And I love it. I fucking love it. So make sure you go show Cocoon and Alan some love. Check them out on the social media sites. Go to their website, their YouTube, and check them out. The more people know, the more love they can get, and more people can try this product. And who knows? Maybe we come back here 5 years from now, and Cocoon is the new kid on the block. I mean, they're rocking and rolling. They're a household name, and everybody knows them. So that is the plan that I would like to see, because I do think that this is pretty freaking awesome. All right. I didn't see you guys last week. I hope all of you had amazing Thanksgiving with your families. Now we're all getting ready for the Fat Man to come. So that will be next month. Have some good shows coming up here soon. I was busy last week, man, so I didn't do it, but I have another video that I'm making that is going to talk about that giveaway stuff that I have to give away, which I still have. The Vito bag, the Yellow Jacket stuff, the Makita drill set, because it was my fault. I think the video I put out was very, you couldn't understand it, and it sent a lot of people off. I don't think I was clear enough in the directions, so that is my fault. So I will make another series of videos trying to simplify it to make it a little bit easier so people actually know what the hell they got to do to win that certain prize. So I will get that out so we can get these prizes out, and we'll get that taken care of so that it'll be done before the weekend. Also, I got some YouTube videos coming out. I've been shooting stuff. I know I've been saying that for like 9 fucking years now, but I actually do have some videos coming out. I'm actually pretty excited for you guys to watch them. Starting with the basics, just working my way up. If there is any videos or any topic that you would like to see me make a YouTube video about, please, by all means, put it in the comments of a video. I try to respond to all of them personally. You can email me. Guys, the new email, please do not use the HVAC Uncensored at gmail.com anymore. Something's going on with that one. It's still there, so I'll still see it, but I want to start getting over to the info at HVACuncensored.com. So info at HVACuncensored.com. Email me there, and yeah, let me know, and I'll try to make that to the best of my ability. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Other than that, man, I'm going to start closing this out. Make sure you follow me on social media to stay up to date on all the new things coming out with the podcast. Subscribe and follow YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Guys, remember, be safe out there, all right? We all got somebody to make it home to. We live in a crazy world. We work with electricity and different things like that. Be safe, be clear-minded, and make sure we all make it home the same way we left. Do the little things. Set yourself apart from the next guy or girl, all right? If you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability, or don't fucking do it. And it's not to be mean. It's just to raise the bar for what we're doing. If we raise the standard in our industry, guess what? Those hacks, those chuck in a truck guys, they're going to start to fall by the wayside. They exist because we allow them to exist, all right? Let's try to be those guys that do things the right way, the way we know. I get it. Hey, we've all cut corners. Nobody's perfect. I'm not going to sit there and act like I've been perfect, because that would be a bold-faced lie. But I try to do the right thing 99% of the time in my life, no matter what I do. And I think if everybody does that, that's when we can start lifting this industry up a little bit. All right? I know it sounds corny, but it's the fucking truth. All right? If you want to know something, you want to learn something, learn it. Don't say you don't know. All right? If you don't know, it's because you don't want to. There's so many resources and technology out there available to you today that you can learn anything that you want. There's different Skillshares. That website, it's not a sponsor of mine. It's like Skillshare.com. Everything is on there, even like mechanical stuff. There's books, there's podcasts, Google, whatever it is, YouTube videos. All right. Learn. Keep making yourself better. Never, ever be satisfied because there's no such thing as standing still. You're either getting better or you're falling behind. And it's really that simple. All right. I'm going to leave you with that. I hope that motivates, kicks you all in the ass for a little bit. But other than that, man, I love you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. I thank you so much for the support you give me and the show. I hope some of you guys are going to AHR so I can meet some of you in person and hang out with you, buy you a beer, coffee, whatever it may be. All right. But until next week, I'll talk at you mofos later. All right. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.
I'm going to have to change that. It's not hvacuncensored@gmail.com anymore. I just realized that after I told you not to. Info@hvacuncensored.com. See ya.